Run as conservatives? Didn't win. So, path forward. We need to gain control of the Republican Party so that we have a choice of a candidate instead of being given the candidates that they give us that are moderates. It's been said that people are policy. If you want to change the policy, you have to change the people in charge. That's why we need a guy like Matt Lynch in Washington to represent us. You know why? We won't have to beg and plead for Matt to do the right thing. We have to call Dave Joyce's office. We have to call him every day. We have to send him emails and letters and everything and hope that he's going to do the right thing. And in the end, he doesn't. So we need someone in Washington that will actually represent us. And then also the other thing that makes a difference in, not only with our congressional district, but others, we came sort of close to replacing Boehner as Speaker of the House. Amen. We needed a few more votes for that to happen. Matt would be one of those votes. Ooh. Yeah. Some of you may know who this is. We need to change the people in charge. If you can't see him in the back, this is Mitch McConnell. He is no conservative stalwart in the Senate. Ted Cruz should be there. John Boehner, another one that we need to change if we want to change the policy. Just Dave is just not good enough. Dave Joyce is another one who will support Boehner. Now Dave Joyce is really interesting in one respect. That is, as soon as he has a conservative opponent announced, he becomes much more conservative. And if you don't know any better, you'd think he was, listening to him. But then you look at his voting record, and he hovers around 47% in the Heritage Action scorecard, and typically in that range in most other conservative scorecards. And then we have the Wizard of Smart in the Supreme Court, Chief Justice John Roberts, who can mystically and magically interpret things that nobody else would be able to come up with. Where it says one thing, but he says it says something else. In Ohio, this guy fooled me. I thought he was going to be a conservative, and I was wrong. Absolutely wrong. He keeps talking about cutting state income taxes. Well, he has. But do you know that since his budget of 2011, the size of the Ohio budget has gone up by 26%? Is that conservative? Anybody here had their pay go up 26% in the last 4 years? Now this guy probably is the least known from facial recognition. This is Matt Borges. Matt Borges is the head of the Ohio GOP. And he makes sure that things go the way Kasich wants them to go. Here's another one that you might not recognize, and from the back you probably can't see, but she is one of our current county commissioners, Judy Moran. And she is one that needs to be replaced. And the one that was just recently appointed, Kevin Malachek, also needs to be replaced. Those two are on the board of NOACA. And in the handouts in the paper that you had on your seat, there are two documents dealing with basically Agenda 21. One is the affordability fair something housing that Obama, that rule put out by the bureaucrats in Washington that gives them federal power over our local areas. And then another one with Seattle, what's going on there, where they're wanting to eliminate single-family housing. You need to read those things. Those things are coming if we don't stop those things by replacing the people that are in power to do that. How do we do that? There is the County Central Committee project. County Central Committee is very important. It's low profile, but very important, and we'll talk about that. Candidates for the 2015 local races. We'll talk about that. Candidates for the 2016 GOP presidential primary. I'm not sure if my scorecard is current on all of them, because there's so many. Candidates for 2016 state and local races. So all those things we need to be involved with, either supporting or being the candidate. We also need to develop an infrastructure within the county, in Lake County, in Geauga County, where we can support these conservative candidates. If we don't support them, I assure you the establishment GOP will not. And it's important that we support only high-character candidates that hold to traditional values and principles. If we vote for candidates that do not support traditional values and principles, we will get more of those candidates to vote for. If we vote for the lesser of two evils, we will continue to get evil. Evil is the bottom line. But those are the type of candidates we will continue to get. Amen. So this requires you and me to pray. That's the most important thing. We need to be in prayer. We need to speak out against liberal or socialist policies. We need to personally get involved to the extent that we can. Each of us has different skills and abilities and time and energy, but each of us needs to participate in the process to the extent that we can. That may include getting out of your comfort zone. It got Matt Lynch off the couch. He was sitting on the couch saying, I don't like what's going on here. Now look what he's doing. Why are you doing this, Matt?
I have 9 grandchildren.
I have 9 grandchildren, exactly. I have 10 grandchildren. That's why I'm involved here. That's why I'm up here in front of you tonight. It would be a lot easier to be at home watching some rerun of a movie or whatever, but this is important. We can't just let it slip away. We need to grow this organization as in terms of our support. We need to grow the Geauga County Tea Party and their involvement in your involvement in Geauga County. Geauga County took a big hit in Matt's election last time. There's opportunity there to do better in Geauga County. And we need to reach out to our churches and other conservative-leaning organizations. I know it's a tough battle with some pastors. We have Pastor Ernie Sanders here tonight, who is on the forefront of the battle. And I really appreciate what Pastor Sanders does. We need to get our other pastors involved, because this is, as was noted earlier, this is a spiritual battle. It's a decision, are we going to be one nation under God, or are we going to be one nation without God? And there are two very different destinations to those answers to those questions. Okay. To change things, we have to change the laws. To change the laws, we have to change the people who make them. To change the people who make the laws, those people have to be on the ballot in November. For them to be on the ballot in November, they have to win the primary. Unless they're running unopposed. That doesn't happen for conservatives very often. To win the primary, they need to get the support of those who make the endorsements in the primary. Now in Lake County, they technically stay away from endorsing in the primary. I'm not sure what the case is in Geauga. But we need to get people who reliably vote in the primary, get them out to vote. And this is the role of the precinct committee folks. Either to do that yourself or work with other folks within the precinct to get out the vote of people who will vote conservative. Okay, anybody know who this is? This is Ted Stevenow. We're going to have a little short video. Take about, I think, 30 seconds.
Have you ever been in an election and not liked the choices?
Do you feel like elected officials represent you?
Do you believe your vote even matters?
What if you could have a voter say about the names that appear on the ballot?
80% of districts are one party.
In those districts, anyone with an R or D by their name will win.
This means the real decision is made in the primary.
Amazingly, fewer than 1 in 4 people vote in the primary.
If a party endorses a candidate before the primary, that candidate has about a 90% chance of winning.
But who decides these endorsements?
A group called Party Central Committee.
1 person from each neighborhood precinct serves on Central Committee.
Members of this committee are elected in the primary.
Only 5 signatures are needed to run.
People are policy.
If you want to change the policy,
You must change the people.
February 5th is the deadline to turn in your signatures to run for Central Committee. Help take back Ohio.
Run for Central Committee. Learn more at ohioprecinctproject.com.
If you caught the date that they mentioned, February 5th, that's from 2014. The date for filing in this year is in December 16th. Get this in, okay. In this chart, this is for Lake County. This is the number of registered voters in Lake County, 155 roughly thousand registered voters. In the 2012 primary, this is the number of people that voted. So these are the people who determined who was going to be on the ballot in November. This is the number of GOP, registered GOP voters, out of all this number of registered voters. These are the people who determined who was going to be on the GOP ballot, or on the ballot in November for the GOP. Actually, this is all of them, and this is the number required to determine it. Okay? Here is the County Central Committee membership, or members. You don't see a blue line there. It's so small relative to this number that you can't even see it. But this is where all the power is. They're the ones who put the people on the ballot. And this small percentage determines which of them wins. So, County Central Committee is very important. Now, I took this and enlarged the GOP majority off of there, taking this and expanding it. Here's the Central Committee members. There are 160 of them in Lake County. You need 81 for majority. That's if you have all the positions filled. So responsibilities. Before I do that, how many of you ran for Central Committee in the last election cycle? Give these folks a hand. These are folks who stepped out out of their comfort zone to help make a difference. Now we had, in Lake County, we had close to 40 people that ran, conservative folks. Not all of them got elected, but I think we got around 23, 24. It was enough to make a difference, to have a conservative influence, but not enough to take control, have a conservative control of the party. So, responsibilities. There's a monthly meeting. The Central Committee folks, after they're elected, they determine who the executive committee members and officers will be for the local county GOP. They're also involved with endorsing candidates. Now, this last election cycle, after the primary, you know how long it took for them to decide to endorse Dave Joyce? It was a matter of seconds, probably. You know how long it took for them to decide to endorse Kim Laurie? Roughly 2 months, and then that was grudgingly. Okay? So, conservative candidates barely get an endorsement. Moderate candidates, liberal candidates, no problem. Is that what we want?
No.
There's a way to change that. So, basically, the precinct committee person is responsible for that precinct, getting folks out, getting to know the folks in the precinct. And it's not that big a job, and especially if you can get somebody to help you. But the key thing is to be willing to step out and put your name on the ballot. Now, both of my daughters ran for Central Committee, and they thought it was really neat when they went to vote to see their names on the ballot. You too can have that privilege. So how do we do this? 160 precincts in Lake County. How many in Geauga?
70-some.
70-some. For Lake County, what I'd like to have is 5 area coordinators to secure precinct committee candidates. So, one in the East Lake Willowick area, one in the Willoughby-Wickliffe area, one in Menor, one in Concord, Painesville Township, and Madison Perry, Painesville area. There's some other smaller communities that are attached to these, but we need people who are willing to volunteer and work with us to help secure good conservative candidates for precinct committee. And I'm sure that Pastor Sanders and others in Geauga County would be glad to work with you to help get committee members in Geauga County. And then, and we also then need the candidates. So if you're not, maybe you don't want to be an area coordinator to do that, but you'd be willing to run for Central Committee. Now, on the sheets that, you got a whole bunch of sheets on your seats there. Some from Matt, some from me, and some from Right to Life, I think. But one of them, and Kim Laurie too? Okay, wasn't sure about that one. But there's a sheet there that has a place for you to put your name and the things that you would be willing to help with. These are a couple of things that are on that sheet, so please give that serious consideration. Okay, how to get on the ballot. You know, it's really very, very easy to get on the ballot to be a precinct committee person. It's less than $100,000 to run your campaign. No, seriously, it really is a lot less. The filing deadline is December 16th, and there is no fee. So, there's no fee to do that. There's an election on March 15th, where if you are the only candidate on the ballot and you vote for yourself, you win. If you have an opponent, you have to get more than the opponent. But it's a small area, and we can help you with how to do that. Then there's a meeting after the Central Committee is elected, roughly 30 days after the primary, which is a very important meeting because that's where the executive committee, and the officers of the county GOP will be elected. Very important. The GOP presidential primary, I'm going to say this is a mess. It was, I think the term was everybody in the pool, and everybody jumped in, so we have something like 17 candidates. I'm not sure if that's the exact number right now. One of the ideas that we were trying to push and put forth was to have some kind of national conservative convention to get behind one particular conservative candidate, but the national groups, the conservative groups, did not support that for one reason or another, and we weren't able to do that. There is a survey sheet, a half sheet of paper that's included in the papers that you have. If you would, please fill out that survey and leave it on one of the tables on the side there before you leave tonight. It's a presidential survey. We're trying to take these surveys periodically, so if you've already taken it, that's okay. We want to get kind of what the thought is today. It's your top 5 candidates among the bunch, and ranked in order 1 to 5, and then there's a couple other questions. So if you would, please fill that out before you leave tonight. The other thing is, in Ohio, Governor Kasich arranged to have the date for the primary moved 2 weeks so that the winner takes all the delegates in Ohio. Whoever wins, so if there's 16 candidates running in Ohio, and the leading candidate gets 10% of the vote, that candidate gets all the delegates. Now, there is some thought, some scuttlebutt about that Governor Kasich, who just either has announced or will be announcing, Tuesday is going to announce that he's going to run, and if he runs in Ohio and he beats out, if he has the largest number of votes, he gets all the delegates from Ohio. And while I don't think he's necessarily a serious candidate for president, and I hope not, he may have his eyes on becoming a VP, and if he has the delegates from Ohio, that puts him in a better position to achieve that. I can assure you that even if he's the only one on the ballot, he's not getting my vote. Our early group polls, we did a poll earlier this year, showed Ted Cruz as the overall favorite. And I think he's pretty much, kind of the leader among the conservative candidates. There are a number of other good ones, which is why I wish there weren't so many good ones, because it splits the vote. So I surveyed today, and stay tuned on what's going on with the GOP presidential primary. I think there's a debate in Cleveland on August 6th. So how they determine which of the many candidates will be on that will be interesting. 2015 local races. School board. Our kids today are being indoctrinated into liberal, whatever you call it. It's not really indoctrination and propaganda, I think. And we need to be able to change that. Do you know what the second most popular book in terms of sales was when our country was founded? The Bible was number 1. Number 2,
Pilgrim's Progress.
not Pilgrim's Progress, no, is the New England Primer, which was the book that kids were taught to read. Now that book today, you can't even bring it within 100 yards of a public school, because of all things, it has in there Bible stuff. You can't have that. What would that do to kids' minds if they were taught morality?
Yeah.
That might work. That might be a good thing, huh? So, for a school board, you have to be at least 18. I think almost everybody here meets that requirement. You have to have 25 to 150 valid signatures depending upon the district. I had a hard time getting a good answer out of the Board of Elections on that, but some districts I think it's 25 and it could be as many as 150, but that's very possible. The filing fee is pretty reasonable. It's $30. But the filing deadline is August 5th. There's not a lot of time, but please consider running. All these school systems, Kirtland, Madison, Riverside, Perry, Mentor, Wickliffe, and Willoughby Eastlake all have 2 seats that are up for election. Fairport Harbor has 3, Painesville City has 3. We have, if he's still here, Tom Hack, are you here? Tom, stand up. Tom is president of the Riverside School Board. He's running for re-election. He's a good one. City and Village Council. The requirements, they vary in terms of the size of the city and the village, but you have to be at least 18. You can check to see how many signatures, $30 filing fee. Again, filing deadline August 5th, if I have that right. And there are openings in all these cities and villages: Fairport Harbor, Grand River, Lakeline, North Perry, Perry, Timberlake have 2. Kirtland Hills, Madison 3. Eastlake, Kirtland, Mentor on the Lake, Painesville City, Willoughby Hills each have 4. And Willoughby and Willowick each have 7. We have opportunities to have a conservative voice in these municipal offices. Township trustee. Again, you have to be 18, 25 valid signatures, $30 filing fee. August 5th is the deadline for filing. So all these are for the November ballot. Concord, Madison, Painesville Township, and Perry each have 1 position, and Leroy has 2. And I know a couple that just recently moved to Leroy, so you can consider that. I don't know, I'm not sure what the residency requirements are. Candidates for 2016. Rob Portman. Surprisingly enough, or maybe not surprisingly, he already has the endorsement of the Ohio GOP. And we would term him an establishment moderate incumbent. I don't know if he's going to have any opposition. You may be right about that. I won't quibble with you about him being a liberal. 14th District. Dave Joyce is the establishment moderate to liberal incumbent. He has a conservative opponent, Matt Lynch. And Matt is in bold font up there because we supported him in the past. GOP State Central Committee, 18th District. John Mancini is the conservative incumbent. Us and Geauga and Portage elected him, and we need to re-elect him. I assume he's running again. Mary O'Toole is the female incumbent for the 18th District. I'm not sure about her, but I haven't heard that she is conservative.
Liberal.
Okay, we need someone conservative, female conservative candidate for that area then. The 25th District, Daniel Carter is an establishment incumbent, so that's Lake County, part of Lake County and Cuyahoga County. And Denise Verdi is our conservative incumbent. She's a member of our group. And the interesting thing is, I went up to her last year and said, would you be willing to put your name on the ballot to run for State Central Committee? And she did. And she got elected. She spent no money, but she got elected. I think it's God, because I don't know, Verdi is a nice name, but I don't know that it carries that much weight. But she beat an incumbent, an establishment incumbent. So you don't have to necessarily